So are you moving the logs that you cut?
Yeah, so these are some trees that we cut earlier in the year, and to cut them to dry. So one of them had already been cut up, so we had 2 or 3 more trees here just drying, so I cut most of them up last week, and we had guests come. So now if there's a break in the weather, I'm hoping to be able to get these cut logs into the warehouse, and then once they're in there they'll carry on drying, and we'll be able to start splitting them, because we have a splitter that goes on the back of the tractor, a hydraulic splitter, and we also have an electric double-bladed splitter, 7-ton one in the actual warehouse itself, to split some of the smaller logs, because it won't split these big ones like this, but it will split something like this. You can see the difference here. This much lighter wood is what has been cut in the last few weeks, but the tree has been cut down since last year, so this wood is already mostly dry, and you can then see on this darker one here, for example, this was cut down and cut up at the beginning of the year, February, March time, so that spent the summer drying out. So we burn this stuff first. Once we split it, we burn this stuff first, because our central heating and that relies on the wood burning fire, and then when we get round to the lighter colour wood, then that will also be perfectly dry. It's all hardwood, this, so it's trees that have fallen down in the forest where they get blown over, where the roots are not really anchored into the ground. There's not a lot of soil in the ravines, so we always take those trees first, the ones that have fallen down, ones that are dangerously leaning over the road. So we don't just arbitrarily go cutting through the forest, cutting trees down, because it's easier to cut one than the other. We do try and do it so they preserve the good trees and use the trees that are already dead, and basically recycle them. And then the ash comes out and sprinkled on the ground and re-fertilises, helps to fertilise a bit of the ground and that. Otherwise we freeze to death, and that's not really an option when you have young children. So we have to do it. It's a big fire, there's a lot of radiators heat, and it doesn't really start getting warm until the water gets to 50 degrees. And it will easily consume 2 or 3 of these big cut logs here without any problem. It takes 12 slices just to get it warmed up, and then once it's hot it will eat through this like there's no tomorrow. So this year we are trying to put in double the amount we had last year, just in case the winter's not quite so mild. But the problem being with the hardwood is that the chainsaw blades now also need sharpening, and they're not ever ending, and they cost 20 euros or more a piece. You can't just keep throwing them away and buying a new one. So there's a few hours work yet once these are done, to sharpen up the chainsaw blades on the chainsaws we have got.